Welcome to the Notorious Scoundrels, a Star Wars Legion podcast bringing you the latest news, general perspective, and competitive discussion.
Hello and welcome back to the Notorious Scoundrels podcast. I'm Kyle. I'm here with Jay and Tim. What's up, gentlemen?
Yo, yo.
Yo, yo, yo. One
Too
more.
many
Hey,
jokes.
so Tim, you doing okay up there? I know you were snowed in for a while.
Well, it was with the sun, things have started to melt a little bit.
Yeah.
However, it means that it freezes every night.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's every morning's a skating rink. And I had to white knuckle it to get to school for like all last week because the plows weren't getting by our place at all. So that was fun. So, you know, just Canada things.
Oh man, I have a truck now, but back in my poor days, I was where I couldn't afford anything. I had like a little Chevy Aveo, like 2-door car, and Syracuse is the snowiest city in the United States because of the lake effect. And oh my God, that thing, like coming home and that thing was a nightmare. Like it was just like I'm gonna die one of these nights, like because it was just like I remember just real quick, like a couple of years, like years and years ago, I was coming home to the house and a huge snowstorm while I was at work, right? But I'm like on the way home and like nothing's plowed because I'm the one that does the snow blowing. And so the driveway is like as much like as tall of snow as my car was. And I literally just rammed the car into the driveway so that I was out of the road and like dug myself out and then like got into the house. It was like, this is future Jay's problem. Just
Yeah, I mean, been there, seen that.
Yep.
If you want to see some fun videos, last week the Trans-Canada Highway was so icy you could go skating on it, and a game of hockey did develop on the Trans-Canada Highway because it was closed, and it was super icy.
That's cool.
That's the most Canadian thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
Highway was closed due to extreme ice. Spontaneous game of hockey.
Yeah, I mean, and when I say highway, like Trans-Canada Highway is the biggest highway in Canada, and it was just closed.
Perfect.
Anyways.
Yep. Wow. Well, it was 70 degrees here today.
That's cute.
Yeah.
You want to hear something crazy? It was 75 yesterday up here, and then it was 30 today. So that was a real nice change of pace. Yeah, we were outside, like I had t-shirt and shorts on. I was walking around the snow in the yard going, yeah, this is the best. And then today it's the worst again. So we're right back.
Yeah, we've done minus 30 to 0 over the last, sort of fluctuating between that for the last few weeks.
Perfect.
So from extremely cold to still extremely cold.
All right, because you're talking.
Sorry, that's Celsius. I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, basically 0 Fahrenheit to 0 Fahrenheit to 32 Fahrenheit, basically.
Yeah. Okay, that's less crazy. Slightly less crazy.
That's not as bad. Yeah.
Okay. Well, today we're going to talk. We're going to talk about some minor rules nuances related to armor that we'll get to, and then we're also going to talk how to counter rebels in a continuation of our how to counter stuff series. But first, Jay, I understand you have some housekeeping for us.
Yeah, I'm going to actually not rush through this one this time, Kyle, because we've got a lot of big news, which I'm really excited about. So if you haven't seen yet, you are not paying attention to us, because by the time this episode comes out, we have announced everywhere that we are officially selling Star Wars Legion stuff now. So the fifthtrooper.com, our store where you get all our mats and all our other cool stuff, we're going to be selling Legion. So if you want to buy Legion, you should buy it from us, because you can also get mats and other stuff. So I've got two really cool things going on right now. we're going to have 10% off all the Legion stuff we have. You can use code SW Legion. That's SW Legion for 10% off at checkout. And also, we're going to do free shipping on all orders over $100. So get your Star Wars Legion through us. And basically what that does is that lets us order more, and then we can get like pre-orders, and then so if you buy Legion through us, it just makes us look better, so that we can get more Legion, and do pre-orders and do other stuff. We also will have access to X-Wing and Armada. I just didn't take a swing on that because I just wasn't sure what our audience would want, but send us an email at contact@the5thtrooper or message on Facebook, and let us know if you want us to get X-Wing Armada, because we'll for sure stock that as well if people are going to buy it from us. So I don't know what, by the time this episode airs, I have no idea what's going to be left in stock, but what we're doing is back orders too. So this is a different thing for us. Is you can still order through us, and then we'll just place the order and hopefully get like a weekly shipment coming in of Legion stuff, and we'll just ship it to you once it comes in. So keep an eye on that. That's the big news right there. So that's awesome for us. I'm really excited about it, if you can't tell. So that's the big news. The next thing is we're teaming up. So right now for Stormtide, we're in our season 2, and we've been teaming up with Jordan from Skullforge. He does all our miniature sculpts for the game. But now we're also teaming up with another company, Zach over at zzmarmory.com. He does like all these cool ship designs and like different kinds of like buildings and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to be teaming up with him as well. I'm not going to spoil too much, but he's coming up with some really cool designs that we will sell in STLs, and also we'll probably print some of the smaller stuff here in shop, and either add them in the boxes or sell them on the website. So we're slowly building kind of the Stormtide universe in STLs and print files now as well. So that's really cool. And you could check out Zach's stuff at zzmarmory.com. So he's got a ton of stuff over there you guys can get, and he's got a cool Patreon where he gives stuff away. So that's cool. So check that out. Right. Okay. So so the other cool thing that you could check out is our Patreon. All our blog staff and our podcasts and all that stuff. If you love all this free content that we're giving out, you can support us on Patreon, and that helps support all the content from the blog to the podcast, any of the other streams and stuff we do. Kyle and some of the team did a stream on our Twitch. I know we're not very active on that, but you guys streamed some Warhammer on Twitch.
There were some technical difficulties. We we made the mistake of doing it like the day after the game came out. So it was a little buggy with some of the connection issues and the latency and stuff like that. But it was fun,
Yeah. And we'll do more stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's tough because we've all got our regular gigs, and then we've all got our primary gigs at the Fifth Trooper, and then the streaming stuff is usually a second or third after I've asked everybody to write 4 articles or whatever. So but yeah, so the Patreon helps support all that.
All right. Well, shall we hit our main topics?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Jay, you wanna tell us about this Armor X topic?
Yeah, so I was at a tournament over the weekend, and this kind of comes up a lot, I've noticed, and I think I haven't really been part of the conversation because the armor that I've run in the past and the armor that we've come up against in the past is always just armor, not Armor X. And so I don't really think about it a lot. But this weekend, I was playing, I actually took a double airspeeder list to my local store tournament, 12 activation rebel double air speeder list. It didn't do great against droids. And, and so, but one of the questions that came up was because of the spider droids, right? So they have an armor 3. And so the question that always comes up and where people always get confused, and even for myself, I have to pause and think about how it works, is let's say 6 shots into a spider droid and they're all regular hits. And let's say I did that with an airspeeder, which has armor or impact 3. Okay. So the spider droids had armor 3. The airspeeder has impact 3. So what happens is you take 3 of those hits before the armor is applied and you convert them to criticals for the impact 3. Then armor is applied. So in that, for instance, having 6 hits, only 3 are going to get through because I converted to criticals, and then the next 3 hits are actually blocked by the armor 3. And I know that can be confusing, and I just based on how impact works against regular armor, right? Like, and you're not really thinking through the whole process, but is that the impact is converting to crits, not anti-armor is the better way to think of it. And I think we skip that step sometime. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and importantly, and when you say converting to crits, it's also important about which stage those that converted crits happens, because I do hear a fair bit that like armor 1, you're benefiting your opponent if they have impact, which just strictly isn't true, because first thing that happens is cover. So cover is applied, whether that be open, light cover, heavy cover, those hits are taken away, and then the impact is applied. So
dodge also during cover.
Sorry, dodge. Yeah. So there's all the
cover dodge.
Stuff. Yeah.
Then impact. Then armor.
Then armor. But it's not giving your opponent extra crits or whatever for because you have armor 1 or whatever. They don't get through cover or dodges any more better than if they didn't have armor.
Yeah, it's still objectively better to just have armor. Whatever. It's a little confusing because in your brain it's like, well, I have impact 1, that should negate his armor 1, right? It's not really how it works. And it does help to think in the context of full armor, right? That impact 1 would simply generate 1 crit and all of your hits would be canceled, right? Whereas if you shoot something with armor 1 and you've got 5 hits, that armor 1's going to only cancel 1 of those hits. So in that situation, impact doesn't really do anything if you only have like impact 1.
Yeah.
And it's sort of weird to think that there are situations where you could be shooting something with armor X and your impact weapon does literally nothing. But that's just if you just follow through the steps, that's how it works sometimes.
Well, and I think the other bit that's confusing, right, is if you strictly look at my example, let's take no cover, no dodges, right? You just have someone that shot 6 regular hits, has impact 3, and another unit that has armor 3. Either way, those 3 are getting through. Right? Like even if I didn't have impact, there's 3 hits are getting through. And I think that's where it gets convoluted and confusing. And it gets more important, with the cover and the dodges, because then if let's say you had cover 2 and a dodge and only 3 of those 6 hits got through, then I'm converting those and then they're getting through the armor and the armor doesn't matter, right? And that's where it's like, I think, and I've done this. We've gotten in the habit where we don't look at the order of operations and then the converting of hits to crits because of the armor triggered that before armor gets to take away hits. And it's just a thinker, right? And even myself, who, I mean, clearly I understand how it works, I still go, wait, hold on, I got to think about this. Especially when you've got cover and dodge and armor and an impact and how much armor and you just got to make sure that you're thinking that through. The
impact value against armor X it basically, that impact value guarantees the number of like hits that turn to crits against that armor value, but then excess hits then are still applied against the armor. Is sort of how I do it. I mean, I shot against a lot of B2s with Wookiees in a little bit a while ago. So like that impact one and armor one was engaging itself a lot. And I mean, like the chieftain has impact one, so that happens a lot too, where it's like, oh, I got a crit and a hit past cover, and then you got it while and that dodge goes to crit, so I'm getting 2 pierce 1. So.
Yeah, it gets extra weird when you have things like shields, like the Gonk droid on the AA5. A few months ago, I was shooting a lot of AA5s with B2s, and you think, well, I have 2 shields that basically cancels the impact too, and it's like, well, not exactly. Often it does exactly nothing, because you cancel, say you get 4 hits with your B2s, right? Just 4 straight hits. You've got impact 2. The shields cancel 2 hits, and then you still have 2 hits left to get converted via impact to crits. So in that case, like, you might as well not spend the shields, because your armor's canceling those 2 hits anyway.
Right.
So
I mean, it's same with like dodges in the saber tank. You
want
to use those abilities on crits, because those are going to be unaffected by sort of the impact armor.
Natural crits.
Natural crits. Yeah, natural crits, or surge crit or whatever.
Right.
Because they're not affected by the impact armor conversion. So if you have like on the AA5, if you have 2 like a shield, like a 1 natural crit and then impact 3 with a bunch of extra hits, you just spend 1 shield on that crit, and then the impact will do its thing on the rest of the hits.
Right.
Yeah. So, I know a lot of people struggle with all kinds of things in Legion, but that's one of the ones that seems to like really be a thinker. And I think sometimes you got to like, and don't be afraid to like, I had to tell one of my opponents, Matt, we were both going really fast. I'm like, whoa, wait. Let's just make sure we thought through this, because there was a lot of dice going back and forth and cover and this and that. And I'm like, oh, hold on. Let's just make sure we suss this out so that we know exactly what we're doing here and making sure it all goes through. And I thought it'd just be a cool reminder for everybody at home too today.
Well, and make sure if your opponent asks, wait, how did that happen? Explain it to them. I mean, I've been known to be, I'm very quick at converting dice in my head and stuff. So, okay, like sometimes I have to slow myself down to make sure that the opponent knows what happened, like sort of what results came out, and make sure that they're sort of all on the same page. So make sure you do that.
Yeah, always like if you don't ever feel bad to be like, no, hold on, explain how that just happened to me, and have them walk through, because and I don't even mean this in like they're doing anything bad. Like sometimes they could have just missed a step as well, and you just because there are all these new things. There's just so much going on now with all the clones with token sharing and Padme and Yoda and the saber tank, and then the Magna Guard getting like 2 dodges and 2 aims if they have Kalani. Like there's just, dude, it's ridiculous now. And so like making sure you're walking through all the steps of, okay, well, where did that come from? And it's going to take a little bit more time, but I think it's worth it, because it's not just Rebels and Empire anymore, just shooting at each other. So
and I find like token sharing with clones with Exemplar, and now that you have different types of sharing and all this, like I try to be extra anal with where all my tokens are and stuff, but definitely just like make sure you're keeping each other honest. It's game state is a mutual social contract. So
like even when I'm playing Kyle, if I don't know how he did something, I go, wait, how did you do that?
Yep.
Like it doesn't matter. Whoever you're playing, just ask him.
Right. Exactly.
Well, and when you have big token stacks everywhere, when you're like, instead of like most armies can be like, oh, I'm going to spend a dodge, I'm going to spend an aim. Make sure you're staying which aim you're spending,
where it's from.
Right. You're saying I'm spending Padme's aim, or I'm spending their own aim, or I'm spending a clone aim, or vice versa for dodges and surges. Right. Because that is important.
Yep.
Not to start a long topic, but since we're talking about this, and I want to hear your guys' opinions on this. So there's two types of players out there when it comes to tokens. There's the players that put them next to the units on the battlefield, and there's the players that put them on the cards on the sideboard. Where do you guys stand on that?
I think that with the possible exception of things like wound tokens on characters, I put all my tokens on the table. And I think that that's what most people should do, personally.
I agree.
And occasionally, depending on the map and stuff, like sometimes tokens can't be quite right next to the whatever, like especially if there's a big melee dog pile. But I like, especially with characters, I'll often put their like tokens and stuff on the top of a building and be like, Anakin's tokens are here, just sort of verbally declare, like, then trying to keep that pile all together.
Yeah, and just make sure you're clear what you're doing, you know, where all your tokens are, who's taking what actions.
Yeah.
Don't like just take a standby action and put a standby token down on the table and not say anything. That's not good. Don't do that.
Yeah. I agree. And you know, one of the things I've been trying to be, I've always put them on the table, but I've always been kind of sloppy with it. So one of the things I've been trying to do is even put them like on the order token. It creates a little bit more work for me, but then I at least know where everything is and I know how it's working, you know, and I go, oh, okay, that aim was right here next to, yeah. So anyways, yeah, I was just bringing that up because I've seen both out in the wild while I've been playing. But I mean, any green token or suppression on a card drives me insane because it's like,
oh yeah, it's because you can't see it.
I can't see it, and I don't. Yeah, and I'm like, well, where did that come from? Like, well, I took it. Yeah, I took the same, and I put it on their card. I'm like, okay, well, now I gotta look at your sideboard too to like understand what's happening in this game.
It's also another pro of sort of getting second party or like aftermarket tokens or like extra tokens or whatever, because if everyone's using cardboard tokens or the same tokens, it gets very confusing whose is what. So I always like to have like a set of the acrylic tokens that I use, and then also a set of cardboard tokens, or at least just a few, so that if the scenario comes up and that I have the exact same tokens as somebody, I can pull out some cardboard tokens to use. So that, I mean, especially if there's like a big melee pile or whatever, and tokens are getting jumbled, I like to have the two different styles of tokens from two players.
Hey,
that's
Tim,
a really good idea.
Hey, Tim, you know where you could get a really neat set of alternative acrylic tokens for your Legion games?
I have no idea where.
The5thtrooper.com. And let me tell you, we've used our own designs. So in a case like this, they look very different so that you would be able to tell them apart. Go to the5thtrooper.com and search for tokens.
I need to do that because I do not have those.
Kyle, I'll bring them to Adepticon.
Right.
If you're going to Adepticon, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have acrylic tokens at our booth 104.
Ooh.
Fantastic. I will be visiting booth 104 to get myself some acrylic tokens.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we move on to countering rebels?
Yeah. Do you know where else you could buy rebels? No, just sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we could insert a plug in like every 5 minutes now that we actually sell Legion.
The5thtrooper.com.
Yeah.
Just search up rebels.
You can buy the core box, which includes rebels.
Yeah.
All right. You know where you can buy the other factions that counter rebels? The5thtrooper.com. Okay.
What's happened to us?
I lost my train of thought. Countering rebels.
Yeah.
This is a little bit. I feel like this is a little bit more nebulous. So we've done the Clone Wars factions, right? We've done droids and we've done Republic. Both of those factions have like sort of a strong, kind of narrow identity.
Yeah.
Whereas Rebels and Empire have, they have more units available for starters. But I'd say they also have more variety of list types. And like two Rebel lists could be extremely different from each other in a way that like two droid lists or two Republic lists won't be, just as far as like strengths and weaknesses are concerned.
Yeah, and it's really right, because it's really like you can have hero, spam, you can have Wookiee spam, you can have double heavy, you can have long range 4 and range 5 now. Like it's rebels are all over the place. But Tim, tell them what you told us in the beginning on how to counter rebels. What do you got to do, Tim?
I mean, it's super complicated. Just shoot them.
Step one, aim. Step two, shoot.
A lot of white dice on the rebels side of the board.
Yeah, I mean that is a very simplistic way of saying it, but at the end of the day, most rebel lists will melt to just a bunch of fire. So your goal is to catch them out in the open or light cover or even heavy cover, but under concentrated fire, and just leaf blow them off the field.
Yeah, I would say it's and I know it sounds funny, right? But like I was thinking about it a little bit more while we were talking here, and I was like, well, I mean, that's pretty much it, right? Because like when you think about clones or Empire, because of all the red saves, like even when you're shooting them behind, it's like so demoralizing to shoot clones or Empire behind heavy cover with red saves, because you're like, okay, 2 goes away. Now I got to deal with red saves, like, and then if clones got surged, like now you got that to deal with, like, it's a whole thing. And so, but with with the rebels, it's like, no, you should, no matter what cover they have, you should be shooting them if you have a target, and if it makes sense at the time, shoot it. Shoota.
Yeah, and that rebels rely a lot on ways to strip hits to survive. So cover, is one that you guys already covered. Dodge tokens.
Yep.
Things like Chewie's Guardian, low profile.
Yep.
So if you can circumvent those with, keywords like blast, with flanking, high velocity, critical, just making them roll saves. And just like any other, facing off against any other faction, you should be definitely prioritizing removing activations.
Yeah.
So target the weak activations, whether that's like an MK2 or like a naked rebel trooper unit. Clearly there are exceptions. Like if you can catch Jedi Luke in the open while he doesn't have a dodge, it almost doesn't matter what else you can do. Shoot Jedi Luke, right?
Right.
But generally speaking, you want to be trying to pick up those white save units and picking activations off the board. So.
Yeah, I would say the other thing, and this isn't always true, but I would say a good, and you guys could correct me if you think I'm wrong here, but a good majority of the time, if you can get aggressive and get up into rebels face faster, like, and don't hold back, and like you do the, like, I'm gonna wait for my opening, because rebels they'll just ping you at 4 and 5, right? But getting up into that range 2, range 1, and then just like going at them, I mean, because think about it, like a lot of troopers in melee are black dice. So if you just hit a rebel trooper squad and you just punch them, I mean, there's a solid chance you're just going to go ahead and kill them, and you're taking away most of their power, which is in their heavy upgrade weapons.
Yeah, just if they have like Wookiees or Tauntauns.
Right.
You don't want to do that.
or Jedi Luke.
Or Jedi Luke. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I mean, for all the other, right?
Yeah.
For all the other ones, though, like even the air speeders, right? It's just shoot it, because you're, like I'll something from my experience. This weekend, I played, actually, Chris, who was the judge for Kanto, he played a Dooku Maul double of the Magna Guards list, and I just couldn't kill the red saves, and so I'm like swooping around to come back with my airspeeder, and all his B1s, he's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna fish for crits, and so he just started shooting. He's getting like 2-3 crits, and I'm like, and they're going through and plinking and just hitting the airspeeder, right? So like he was doing the perfect thing. He was getting aggressive with the stronger units and coming at me, and then just shooting anything he could shoot, which was my airspeeders, and just because they have white saves too. So if you start getting crits through, like they're gonna start melting. Like it is what it is.
I mean, most of the rebel faction is glass cannons.
Yeah.
And like even like Rebel Trooper squads, if you actually look like, especially if you put like a DLT or a Z6, their offensive output is pretty good, but then it falls off pretty quickly. So even so going for activations is of course super important, but also just knocking like a trooper or two off of each squad, like in a, let's say, 4 Rebel Troopers with heavy weapon squad or list, that is also fairly effective at limiting their offensive potential pretty rapidly, like if you can't get activations. So and I mean sort of general Warhammer Glass Kennedy approaches, right? You kind of want to either get to it before it gets to you, or give it enough breathing room that it won't actually get to your important stuff and you can sort of blunt it before it gets there.
Yep.
Should we talk real quick about what sorts of rebel lists are popular these days?
Yeah. I can start. Triple Wookiees is a very, very popular list. And then I think that comes with variations. I actually saw a really good list this weekend that had rebels with the DLTs, which that seemed like a good combo, right? So you're planking away from a distance and then you're running your Wookiees in to kind of do cleanup. That seems really good.
I mean, 2 copies of Vigilance with 4 captain DLT squads is like 400 to 450 points in there somewhere. So I mean, I think a lot of rebel lists could easily be sort of half the list be 4 trooper squads with heavy weapons and 2 officers, and then what other various things you want to have, whether it be Wookiees or Luke or Sabine or.
Yep.
Yeah, that's become kind of a staple, as sort of a core, especially, we've talked a lot about this combo in our countering droids episode, but droids rely a lot on critical. So do like Empire gun lines these days, bring in their T21s, whether they're T21s or T21Bs. And rebel trooper captains with a dodge and situational awareness, you just strip those crits. Yep. Like every time they get shot, you just strip a crit. And then hopefully you're in heavy cover too. So you're also stripping those, and then you just don't roll saves. So that's a super popular archetype right now. It's becoming more popular. I think you didn't see a lot of it at like LVO or Kanto really, but it's something that people have been running in like Team League, and I expect that you will see at Adepticon probably. So counters to that, high velocity, but also flanking with things like speeders. If you can get Staps, or if you're a rebel player with T47s, barks, basically if you can flank around the cover, and they might still have a dodge, but taking 1 hit off a pool is a lot different than taking 3 off. So
I mean also just big dice pools.
Right. They're gonna fire support.
They're gonna strip 3, maybe 4 off the top, but if you're putting 5 to 10 through, then that's gonna be a lot of saves to roll.
Yeah.
I can't think of a lot of things where you can put 10 through besides like a double Z6.
I mean, 10 with
fire support.
10 might have been a little aggressive, but I mean, like fire, like if you're playing with like specifically a clone list and you're looking for fire support opportunities, so like that's where you really want it to just focus that with those 2 dice pools down into 1 to just get past the mitigating factors.
Absolutely. I will say there are a few more satisfying things than rolling 20 to 22 dice in 1 attack and just seeing what happens.
It's so disgusting.
I've been on a little bit of a clone kick, so
you sure have.
Yeah,
sure have, pal.
Yeah, I actually did random faction because I couldn't decide for Adepticon, and that's what I ended up with. So I have a lot of paintings to do in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
I think you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Anyway, rebel archetypes that are popular. So basically lots of things with the 4 DLT captain build. Han.
Oh yeah.
Han, Han's real big right now.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, Han also fits into that 4 trooper build because
He
he
does.
has a command slot. So
Yep.
often you'll see this exact same thing except with Han, and then sometimes Han and Chewie.
Yeah, because Chewie sort of helps you get around that. Well, let's just load him up with a giant dice pool because you, in addition to the 2 from cover and the 1 from dodge, and then Chewie gets the strip 3 with Guardian, and now you can give him protector so he can strip crits too. So you take that big wind up shot, and you're like, yes, I got 3 hits past the cover and dodge, and Chewie's just like, no,
Yeah.
no, you didn't.
Yeah, I mean it's wild, right? Because Han has low profile as well. So if you have heavy cover, you're stripping 3, and
You're stripping
then
3, yeah.
and then a dodge 4, and then Chewie. You're like, you didn't even touch Han.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's good. So bring those cover denying keywords, and make them roll saves.
Yep.
Han, if there's not like Wookiees or something sitting around, just tie him up in melee.
Oh.
I mean, his melee is garbage.
yeah.
And he has no ways to disengage or anything besides the disengage action, which is kind of a waste of Han's action. So even if you don't have like a melee unit, like you have a B1 unit or just a naked core unit or something, if they're in double move range of Han, just move him into base with Han.
Yeah.
Just give him a hug.
I mean, that's another reason you bring Chewie, because generally they're going to be together, and Chewie
right.
can help at least deal with the
Right.
Han bear hug. But
Chewie does help, but you've been seeing a lot of Chewie-less Han too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Chewie just as a sort of core unit protector and or ranged pierce and or a scalable melee is
Yeah, he's good.
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also I played a unit or a list with Tauntauns at LVO, and Tauntauns are still they exist. They're not. I mean, in a counter and rebel segment, I don't think they're too big, but they're still around and they're still good.
Yeah, I'm so glad that people think they're bad right now.
Yeah, I mean what was it? The list that John at Kanto that John had to play in the final. I lost to first round was a triple Wookiees list with Han. Han, it was it sucked.
And the Wookiees all had battle shields too, I think, right?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
It was so bad.
Yeah, it's amazing that all fits.
I before the last round of point changes, I played against a list that I don't remember what else was in it, but it was double Wookiee, double Taun, and some other heroes and stuff. And now that points have gone down, you like triple Wookiee, double or triple Tauns is a lot easier. And also Tauns are pretty good against Wookiees because they have a fairly sizable dice pool that doesn't degrade as much. And they generally have dodges, which really helps against Wookiees. They're also halfway decent against Magna Guard because they just can absorb quite a bit of blows of Magna Guard without losing a ton of their melee potential right off the bat.
Yep. And they're great against B1s.
And they're great against B1s.
They just B1s like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Even with the pistols, like 4 red dice,
Oh yeah.
Just pick up 4 B1 models.
Yep.
Yeah. So we mentioned Han, we mentioned the vigilance thing, Jedi Luke. What's your Jedi Luke counter?
Just shoot him.
If you can. I mean, he's got burst of speed now.
Yeah,
he's got disengage.
And the problem with him is even if you get 2 or 3 wounds on him, he's still gonna eat 3 to 4 units. Like I don't even know. Like he's still gonna eat you up alive. Like I don't even think 3 wounds slows him down. And so I mean, try to get as many shots. I think any force user, right, is you got to find your angles and try to wound them as much as you can early so that they're not as big of a player, because you're trying to make your opponent question what they're going to do with them next, right? And punish them for, Kyle's good at that, is punishing people for putting them out where they shouldn't be. And
Jay and I played a game today.
Yeah. Could you guys tell I was salty about it?
I mean, specifically to Luke, I think Magna Guards are probably some of the best units to counter him, because Luke kind of feels like a bit of a wet noodle against Magna Guards, and they can kind of just follow him around. And
dude, what doesn't? Those things are so good.
Saber throw.
Yeah.
Fire supported saber throws.
So I mean, fire supported saber throws, yes. Just regular saber throws don't do a ton against Magna Guards.
Well, yeah.
Generally, they have
regular
a
saber throw is
dodge
pretty sad.
because they just should have a dodge, and then often they'll have cover. So those often do nothing.
Right. Bigger pools with Pierce, like Wookiee bowcaster pools.
Oh man, you know what else is really annoying that I completely forgot about because people don't use it as much anymore is comms jammer. Good Lord, that's annoying.
Yeah, it sure is.
Oh my God.
I don't know why. I mean, dewbacks are so popular and so good right now. I don't know why people aren't throwing comms jammers on those. Like, just get a dewback in the middle of a bunch of B1s.
I mean, I think with specifically dewbacks, you often that last 5 points just isn't there once you're done building the list.
Yeah.
I am a little bit shocked that more Magna Guards don't have comms jammers on them because never have the points problem.
I faced a list where so this was that Chris again. He put him on the Magna Guard and he put him on Maul's companion there, the droid companion. And I was just like, dude, what? Like, try flying some air speeders around those things. Oh yeah, you're not getting orders.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, who you giving that order to? And I was like, oh God, I forgot you had comms.
That's an underused upgrade.
Yeah, like who uses that anymore?
Yeah. I mean, especially in the world of ion spiders, if you can get something with a comms jammer between them, they feel bad.
For sure. Yep. All right. Any other thoughts on Rebels?
Shoot them.
I really like them. I know this was a countering, but
traitor.
God, they've got. You know what it is? Is I feel free. There's just so many options. It's like if I want to bring double heavy, I can, and I can still have 12 activations, and most of them are still good. And you know what I mean? And like if I want to bring just hero spam, I could do that too, and have like 2 really strong heroes that are gonna kill most of your army. Like it's just wild. Yeah. But anyways,
I'm with you. So I don't think we've talked about the new Invader format. Or because maybe they just announced it since our last show.
It has been announced, yes.
Okay. So basically, they're still doing round robin, but the groups are going to be split into regions. Mm. So you're still going to have Europe, you're still going to have Australia, but then there will be US East and US West.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So Jay, you get to be with me and Luke.
I mean, I'm central, so I get to choose pick my poison.
Yeah, get to pick your poison. You want Snyder or Florf or anyway, so yeah, but you have to. So then after that, there will be a regional elims. So the first stage of elims will be regional, again within those same regions, and then once they cut to top 16, then that will be international. So previously elims has just been like straight everybody international, but there was some scheduling difficulties between like US and Australian or US and European players, which is understandable. So now they're doing the regional elims thing, and then top 16 will be international. But the reason I thought of this just now when you were talking about Rebels having a good variety of list options is you have potentially 3 opportunities, depending on how far you make it, to change your list, but you have to do the same faction the whole time. Because you can do one list for round robin, you can do one list for the regional elims, and then you can do a separate list for top 16. But those all have to be the same faction, and you have to choose your faction at the start of round robin. So
yeah, Rebels.
Yeah, you better pick something that you're going to be comfortable potentially adjusting midway through.
Listen, yeah, and I agree, and I know everybody's calling me a traitor, and that's fine. But I'm going to be winning games while you're still trying to figure out why Empire's not working.
Well, I mean,
I'm tempted to play Empire.
Yeah.
I mean, your track record as of today, Jay, is.
I mean, I did pretty good at Kanto.
Well, I mean, I said today, not.
My track record today is not good today. No.
It's a much smaller sample size, though.
Yeah.
It's a 1 game sample size.
All in. One or none.
I mean, so far with Rebels, I absolutely have a positive record. So that's good. Yeah. So I'll take it. No, yeah, because that's the thing, right? And I think what happens with Empire, the more I'm exploring, is the more I'm coming to the same thing. Because I think CIS is the same way. I haven't played any Republic yet, but I thinking I will at some point. But like, there's just so many options, and like I don't feel stuck. Like with Empire, it's like, okay, I can take Vader dewbacks or I can take double heavy. All right, maybe a gun line, but that's situational. And then
even then, you're probably still taking Vader.
Yeah. Right. It's Vader or double heavies. Those are your choices.
Yeah.
The like CIS and Rebels are both super flexible right now, and then Empire and Republic is not that.
Yeah. Although I've really been enjoying Republic anyway.
Republic is a real fun time.
It doesn't have to be flexible if you're just like a rock and you're like, no, you move. And you just sit there and kill anything that comes near you. Like, you don't really have to be flexible anymore. Yeah, it's nice when everybody's tokens are just,
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just use that one that's over there then.
Yeah, it turns out they're a good fit for my playstyle.
Shock and surprise on my part.
Oh my god.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I don't know. Yeah, everybody out there, listen to all you diehard Empire players who are shaking your fist at the screen right now and saying, "Jay, how dare you?" I challenge you to, on TTS, so you don't have to invest any or borrow a friend's units, play Rebels or CIS. Come up with a list and go play it and tell me how you feel about Empire after you do that. Because it's not that I hate Empire. I want them to be as good as the other factions. They're just not. They're just not right now. And it's sad and it hurts me inside.
Hang on. There are Empire lists that are top tier lists.
Oh, yep.
Absolutely. They're just, their internal balance is a little off.
Yes, that's not what I meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's not what I meant. I don't mean you can't go to a tournament and win with a Vader list, because you can. What I mean is that it's not a lot of options that are like feasible.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are lists within the faction that are like, quote unquote. I hesitate. I'm sorry that I used this word without qualifying it before, but quote unquote top tier competitive lists. But
A or S?
Don't open that can of worms.
Yeah.
Firmly put a lid back on that.
No.
Well, when we since we're already on record doing this, when we did our Empire tier rankings, you'll probably go back and find that we ranked both Operative Vader and Dewbacks as S tier. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, you're right. Their internal balance is a little off.
Yeah, and that's another. It just is what it is, And I don't know.
Honestly, if they're going to be the anything faction, I guess it makes sense for them to be the Vader faction.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice if they were like the Vader faction and the Three Other Things faction. So.
Yeah. Like they should be the like heavies faction, and they kind of are, but not really, because when everybody else's heavies can just do better things, it's kind of hard to like accept that anymore.
I do think the ATST is a little underappreciated right now.
Listen, I'm a guy who's played ATST forever, but when I can see what the Saber tank, the AAT, and now the T-47 can do, I'm just going, I'm sorry, what? Why don't I have this? Why don't I search to crit? This is bull. Why can clones, a unit of just normal phase 1 clones, or phase 2 clones sit beside heavy cover and get dodge and things and survive a full blast from an ATST shot? That makes no sense.
They should have. It is weird that like the largest guns in Legion don't have Pierce or something,
blast or anything that could help.
Well, you
them.
can take the grenade launcher with with the ATS.
Sure, but you got to get range too. Like I should be able to take my big weapons and just go, I don't care what you're behind, pew, 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 and kill you, like, or at least some of you. And it's just not like you got heavy and a dodge, and you could share this one from over here. Oh, and you could get that surge from over there. And you're just I took out one.
Have you been burned by token sharing?
Yeah, I just threw 12 dice into something, and I decided to fire support with my mortar, and I took out one clone.
I mean, I think Jay, you should stop playing against named characters. You need to play against the rabble, because if you ever watch the movies, the named characters will survive heavy artillery, no problem. The rabble will just go flying though.
All right.
Do I sound bitter, Kyle? Do I?
All right. Well, you guys have any final thoughts before we close this out?
I've got lots, Kyle. Do you want to hear them all?
We could recap our game if you want.
No.
Okay.
I know what I made a lot of mistakes.
Turns out standby sharing is a thing.
It is a thing.
Yeah, you just gotta keep your eye on that.
Yeah, very much a thing still. That's definitely not what I'm playing for Adepticon though.
What? What? But it's good.
It's fine.
I'm not sure you caught the nuance in my tone there too. All right. Anyway, well, we are the Notorious Scoundrels. I'm Kyle.
I'm Jay.
I'm Tibbo.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.